I cannot tell you how excited I am to have this conversation. You may remember last week we had Baltimore's own Sheldon Candace in studio with us talking about a new film on Disney Plus and Hulu called They Fight, which was shot right here in Baltimore and feels very much like a Baltimore story, even though it's set in D.C. It feels so uniquely Baltimore, and Calvin Ford and the Upton Boxing Gym were a big part of making this really beautiful sports film. Joining us now, this man, frankly, needs no introduction. He's one of the most gifted actors of our generation, a true artist, and he played Slim in They Fight. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome Wendell Pierce to Glenn Clark Radio. Wendell, it's Glenn here in Baltimore. Truly an honor to spend some time with you. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you, Glenn.
Wendell, I want to talk about They Fight. We're going to talk about They Fight. I've had a selfish question that I've wanted to ask you for a long time.
Okay.
All right. Can I get it? I need to know, have you ever actually played lacrosse? Were you ever actually concerned that they were going to maybe write in a scene where Bunk had to play lacrosse and that you needed to go at least pick up a stick and throw a ball around and be prepared for it?
I have twisted a stick. I have thrown the ball. I've never played a game, but I've walked around like the kids do as they're practicing their skills,
cradling,
keep it in the basket or whatever they call it. Me calling it a basket right there tells you how little I know about the
cross is the cross,
right? So, but yeah, man. I was hoping they would. I would hope they would put me in a situation where you got to see the Bunk run with the stick.
God, I would have loved that. I would have loved that so much.
I actually did, but here's a little trivia for you. Back in the 70s, very famously, Morgan State actually had a lacrosse team,
the 10 Bears,
and now that program is gone. There's a documentary about it, and I did the voiceover for that documentary.
I actually remember this. I remember this well, and it was a beautiful documentary, obviously, about Dr. Harrison and that group, and it's a special story for anyone that hasn't watched it. I would really encourage you to go do that. Wendell, I was so overjoyed when I sat down to watch this film. And we were talking with Sheldon last week, and obviously the story being that this actually originally wasn't going to be your role. It was going to be Isaiah's role. But
yes,
when you found out that this was a project that was possible and knowing it was going to bring you back to Baltimore, and can you just kind of take me through what your thoughts were and what made you want to be a part of They Fight?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who played Senator Clay Davis on The Wire with me. He originally had the role and took ill, and actually took deathly ill because he just a few weeks later passed away. And so I would like to honor him, and my performance is an honor to him. It was an opportunity to play the role, and it was a great script. And, when you see good material and see something that is so beautifully written and just touching in a way that it gave humanity to the kids and to people's lives, that speaks to the best of our humanity. And that was the thing that attracted me to the script.
I felt like your role, and I mean this genuinely, and I feel this way about you as a performer, it had a James Earl Jones type of presence to it. The command that you had as Slim and as this figure that so many people in our city have known. This figure we needed in our lives when we were going through something. How much joy did you have becoming Slim and sort of encapsulating everything about a mentor, a coach that every young person needs in their lives?
I was thinking of one man in particular, and that was the coach that I had when I was playing Little League football, Little League baseball. I actually threw the shot put at one time, and that was Coach Mack. I grew up in New Orleans, and Coach Mack was he was like a second father. He was a man who lived by example and showed you that, and from the very beginning, always explained sports as being something that was going to benefit your life. It was an opportunity for you to learn life skills. It's not about winning that one game. It's about exercising your right of self-determination. He would call timeouts in the middle of the game and says, what kind of person do you want to be? Are you going to do something about your situation right now? Because what you do right now will reflect on how you deal with adversity in your life. How do you want to deal with adversity in your life? I could care less if we get the first down, if we get the run that we need or whatever. What kind of person do you want to be right now? Look around you. Look at your friends. Look at your family. What kind of person do you want to be for them? What kind of person do you want to be for yourself in the middle of games? And so he was someone that was my true north when I was thinking about developing Slim, because those are the people that are going to have a lasting memory in your sinew, man, in the pit of your soul, and remind you at all different stages of your life what is important and how to build character and how to exercise your right of self-determination. For me, that was Coach Mack.
I feel, by the way, we had a Coach Mack who was a boxing coach here in Baltimore as well. So it's so unique that it's Coach Mack. But what you allude to, I think, is so important because, like, the Walt character, it needs some nurturing, but doesn't need an enabler, obviously. Doesn't need someone who's just going to allow him to coast by. He needs someone to kick his ass and say, you got to clean up the gym. Like, you got to work. And that subtlety of what you're talking about is, yes, this person clearly loves this person and wants what's best for them, but what's best for them is also kicking their ass a little bit. Is such an important part of why, to me, this works so well, this dynamic between the two of you.
Because that's what Slim had to go through, right? We don't see it all in the story, but there's a backstory to Slim. He's made those mistakes. Therefore, by the grace of God, go I. So when I'm speaking to Walt, I'm speaking to myself. Those are the things that I had to learn. And I'm not going to tolerate anyone else backsliding on that. You know, we know when we need to step up in life. We know the times when we bet on ourselves, and those, it's easy to walk away from something. It's hard and difficult to actually do the things necessary to change the paradigm of your life. People know what needs to be done. They choose not to deal with the difficulty that that challenge presents. And that's what Slim is always telling Walt. You know exactly what's happening. You know why you're in that position. You know what you contributed. And the only thing that can change the paradigm is what your contribution is going to be to this dysfunctional paradigm. Are you going to change it, or are you going to sit back and do nothing? And so that's what is considered tough love. That's the colloquial way of putting it. But it's really about knowing what is possible and knowing that you are the master of your own destiny.
Wendell Pierce is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Wendell, obviously the Baltimore part of it, right? Like, you've spent so much time in this city in your life. Obviously, we know you're a New Orleans man. Like, we know that is in your heart. But you referenced Isaiah. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Isaiah over the years before he passed. I got to know Michael Kay really well before he passed. Clearly, Ed has been a friend for a long time, and I've hosted shows with him. And the way that those guys would talk about Baltimore, even Idris, who I bumped into in Paris randomly once, the affinity that everyone had for our city really stuck with me. What did it mean to you to be back here, given all of the time that you have spent here in your life?
I love Baltimore. I consider Baltimore a second home. I always look for an opportunity to stop and spend time in Baltimore. It was such a wonderful time when we were doing The Wire. It was a coming of age, and we didn't even realize it at the time. You know, when we were filming there, we started and we would film and then go away. We weren't on at the same time as we were filming at the beginning, and we didn't even know the impact that we were having or whatever. But all I know was we were looking forward to getting together again in Baltimore. We had so much fun. There was so much joy, even with all the issues that Baltimore has, just like New Orleans. I think it's a sister
I
city.
agree.
A port city. We have issues with the way you guys deal with your crabs and how you cook them. We like to boil ours, and you like to steam your shells.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, I tell people we don't eat the shells, but that's okay. Right?
Wait a second. Hang on. I've always wanted to know.
Yes.
Did you actually eat the mustard?
Oh, absolutely,
no,
man.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
Absolutely. I cannot believe that people don't eat the mustard.
No.
I could actually just eat the mustard. I literally, man, I did a play in D.C. recently. I just did Othello for the summer, and we had crabs, man, and I was teaching people how to eat crabs for the first time, and I was collecting the mustard. I usually take a little shell and collect the mustard and eat it. It is a great delicacy, just like bone marrow. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, it has bothered me for years. It has greatly bothered me.
But Baltimore is a great city. It's a second home. It really teaches you. It has a great humanity, and it has a great culture. And culture is the intersection with life and how people deal with it. That literal intersection is culture. And Baltimore has a great culture of perseverance and redemption, and that's what is captured in They Fight in this movie. It's about that same culture that is so prevalent in Baltimore. And that sports teaches you, that we try to teach the kids in this movie, and hopefully it gets across to others, which is there's a redemption in your humanity, and there's a resolution in redeeming yourself, and there is a resilience when you embrace your humanity. And that's what you fight for, and that is worth fighting for, and that's what They Fight is all about.
Well, I know I'm going to let you go because you're a very busy man. I did want to ask specifically about, because Sheldon said, I felt like I was creating a film that almost existed within the Wire universe. That, given Cuddy's story and how unique that is, given you and obviously a cameo from Andre in there, and it being, did you feel any of that? Were you worried about any of that when you were looking at the script?
No, that's a resonance that was there. I mean, most of the crew, it was like a family reunion. Most of the crew on this film, a great film industry in Baltimore. And it was like a reunion for us, and it was a reflection and a resonance of what The Wire was about. And so it was a part of that continuum, and being in Baltimore, it was just a reflection of the hardcore nature of Baltimore, the resilience of Baltimore. And although it's a different story, the more specific you are, the more universal it becomes. And it became universally a Baltimore story because we were specifically teaching these kids about boxing. But it was a reflection of how we learned about the humanity of kids and people that we didn't expect to learn about their humanity when we saw The Wire. So in that sense, it was a part of that universe.
And obviously the kids in They Fight were so good. I know you're getting ready for another season of Elsbeth and Raising Kanan. I have to know, did you get a chance to interact with Lamar at all when he did Raising Kanan? Did you get an opportunity to at least, I know you weren't in the scene together, but did you have?
I wasn't in the scene.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. When I heard that Lamar was coming on the show, I was so excited. I actually missed the day. I was working on something else on Elsbeth at the time, and I missed the day that he was shooting. But Lamar was great. He's one of my favorite players. And actually, the real Bunk worked security for the Ravens. So, I have an affinity for the team. The only time we don't get along is when my Saints play.
I understand, and I respect that. Wendell, I know
all other times, I'm always rooting for the Ravens.
We love that. Wendell Pierce, I can't tell you what an honor it is to spend time with you. You are such a brilliant artist. We are so grateful. This film is beautiful. For those that haven't seen it, you need to watch They Fight. Thank you for taking the time for us today at your busy schedule. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendell. Wendell Pierce.